everyone, I recently built the Dagobah Jedi training Lego set, and I wanted to let you know my thoughts and do a quick review of it. So first off, this scene is from one of my favorite Star Wars movies, which is The Empire Strikes Back. It's a very pivotal scene in the series, in my opinion. So when I saw this set, I thought it was really cool. I think they did an excellent job with it overall. So I picked this up at Target for roughly $90. Comes with 1,000 pieces on the dot. The manual is 174 pages, comes with 3 minifigures, and they do say that this is for ages 18 and up. Now I do think that might be a little high. There wasn't anything that I thought that was like overly complicated that, you know, your average teenager couldn't do. So I definitely think if parents are watching this, like, don't be turned off or intimidated that it says 18 and up. I don't really know the criteria they use to determine that. There are, you know, maybe it could do with the pieces and number of pieces. There are a lot of small pieces, and I'll kind of get into that when I start talking about the build more in depth. So if you do have little ones around, definitely make sure you're watching them, watching their hands and any pieces that might fall on the floor. So just be forewarned there. So I think this took me approximately 2.5 hours to build. I was doing a building video at the same time, so that number might be inflated a little bit, but I think you can safely say that from beginning to end, it'll go from anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours. So it's not gonna take all day, but it's also not gonna take 10 minutes. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, if you haven't checked out the build video, I highly recommend giving it a view. I'll put a link up here or down below, or you can just find it on my page after you give me a like and subscribe. I would really love that. So now I kind of want to take a little more of an in-depth view into the figures, the build quality, and the overall design and aesthetic itself. So what do you say we go ahead and do that? So I'll start by talking about the minifigures. We have 3 in this set: Luke, R2-D2, and Yoda. So starting off with Luke, he has dark tan pants and a lighter tan tank top as he wears in the movie during his training sessions. We do have print on the front and the back to show the creases in his shirt, as well as pockets printed on the front of his pants. He has 2 facial expressions to choose from. One is with his eyes closed and the other with a strained look on his face. I think those are both really good options, as it lets the builder decide if they want him doing a handstand in kind of a meditative state, or you can have him standing on the edge of the swamp straining to lift the X-Wing fighter out. With R2-D2, you can see that he has mud on the front and back of him, which I think really fits the scene nicely. If you remember, during this scene, he falls in the swamp and gets all dirty. One thing I did notice about my figurine is they did not do a very good job with the printing on his head. You can see that it is slanted at an angle here, so I'd be curious if other people have had their R2-D2 figure printed like this, or if they've seen it printed like this in other sets. Now with Yoda, you can see he's a smaller figure with shorter legs, so they are stationary. He has printing on the front and back of his robe, along with a brown belt. They give him a straight rounded cane or walking stick, which fits nicely in his hand. Now it does come with a Lego frog, and that's kind of cool because, hey, we're in a swamp, so you would figure there's probably lots of frogs. Now, to my memory, I don't think they show a frog in the movie, but you can assume that there were probably plenty there. Now, moving on to the snake, from my memory, we do see at least one snake in the movie. I believe it's coiled up and kind of slithering around a tree branch. Now, moving on to the build itself, I did find it very enjoyable. I want to start with the base, which is pretty straightforward. Overall, it is smooth for the most part. The nicest part about it is the 2 tiles we have in the front with the Lego and Star Wars logo, along with the Yoda quote, "Do or do not. There is no try." I was happy to see that these were printed on the pieces rather than using stickers. Moving on to the swamp, I found this to be the most tedious and probably least enjoyable part of the build. On the first layer, we have a number of random shaped pieces of different colors. The challenge here is the randomness to placing these pieces, as there's no real rhyme or reason to where they're placed. The top layer is done in mostly green translucent tiles, which is nice because underneath we do have those random colored pieces. Unfortunately, I feel like those random pieces don't really show through as much color-wise. That is one little criticism I have, is you spend so much time putting those different colored pieces and tiles down, but looking from overhead, they don't really show through that much. There are also a few green translucent 1x1 plates, round plates, and tiles scattered throughout the swamp to give it a little texture. This is most prevalent around the area where the X-Wing fighter is sticking out of the swamp. I think the X-Wing sticking out of the swamp is the coolest part of this build, and I really like the pieces that they use to create this effect. It utilizes a turntable 2x2 base and plate with axle so that placing the wing at an angle can be achieved. On top of this, we have a hinge plate 2x2 locking with 1 finger on top. And then to attach the wing so it can be angled out of the water, we have a hinge plate 1x2 locking with 2 fingers on end with groove so that the wing can be angled up in the air. I found this combination of pieces really amazing, and I think they did a wonderful job coming up with this. Now let's move on to Yoda's hut. First, we have the flooring, and I really like that they chose a color in between the hut and the trees. So we have nice contrast there. The hut itself utilized pieces of all shapes and sizes, with the final result of the outside using a lot of flat and curved pieces. So while a lot of the pieces are smooth, there's enough variation in them to give a sort of a random textured look. We have a lantern placed here and what looks like some sort of a beacon or radio transmitter. I'm not really sure exactly what this is, so if you guys have any thoughts, definitely let me know below. Another element of the hut that I really like is that the back is open, so that gives us more of a glimpse of what we have inside. A really nice touch that they added is that they have a pot or a cauldron on the stove, and you can place Yoda back there as if he's like looking over it making his stew. They also put a lightsaber up top hidden in the back. I think this is a really cool little touch. Now, I won't have my set positioned in a way where you'll be able to see all this, but I really do like the attention to detail here. It's also cool that it does let a little light through, so it's not just like a dark, empty room. Now, the last element I want to talk about is the foliage. Included here, we have what I would call bushes. They come in different shapes and sizes, so it does give a good variety. The vines, trees, branches, and leaves are done incredibly well with lots of curved pieces, utilizing different shapes, sizes, and colors to kind of give it that random feel. Overall, I'm very happy with the set. It was a fun build, and in my mind, that's the most important part. Although the build of the base and the swamp was a little tedious at times, I would still highly recommend getting this piece if you're a Star Wars fan. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this review. I'm going to have more on the way, but if there is a specific set you would like me to do a build of or do a review of, definitely let me know. I'll see if I can squeeze it in the budget because some of these are rather pricey. But yeah, I got some more on the way and some good ones too. So, all right, until next time, peace.